Happy Monday.
Eddie,
Hey,
Marti Kring,
Hey,
getting
Al.
ready to go to Cuba.
I'd like to this year.
Why do you always call him with his full government name?
I like it.
Yeah, well, and also his middle name is iconic.
Yes, that's
Eddie and Kring, of course. But his middle name is, in Cuba, you will see, in Cuba, it is.
It's an ancestor of mine.
It's an asset for sure, and important because he was pro and against all at the same time. He's one of the few
Yeah, we like
people
him.
that represents that in Cuba.
Hey, speaking of things that we're excited about, it's Florida AIDS Walk Week.
AIDS Walk, yeah, we're going to talk about
This weekend.
that.
I'm excited.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Well, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 7 p.m. Monday, April 19th, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
The world's first live daily queer evening news show, Out of the Closet and Into the Headlines on Q News Tonight.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited, live LGBTQ evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it.
This evening, we bring you the news of and perspective representing the LGBTQ community from South Florida, America, and across our planet.
I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. Let's welcome anchor Faye. What? She's out, she's proud, and she's most certainly loud. The loud part.
Yes!
Especially. She's a Latina to be reckoned with, half Puerto Rican, half Colombian, and 100% freaking Jersey. She's a radio personality and has the popular blog and YouTube channel aiming to unite the L and the G together. She's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, a board member at Unity Coalition, and host of UC Television, an animal advocate and owner of Faye's Fur Family, and is the anchor of the travel news show Happening Out Travel. Good evening, Faye.
Good evening, boys. Great to be with you both.
It's going to be a great night. And next, let's welcome anchor Eddie Marti Kring. He currently serves as the field and community organizer for SAVE, Safeguarding American Values for Everyone, South Florida's longest-serving LGBTQ rights advocacy organizations. He focuses on statewide and national LGBTQ equality issues, as well as working on LGBTQ homeless youth issues. Good evening, Eddie.
Hey, Al. Hey, Faye.
Well, tonight we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Monday, April 19th. Let's begin by queering up business. Gay dating app Manhunt has been hacked, exposing thousands of users' data. Gay dating app Manhunt has revealed that it was hacked in February, exposing the data of thousands of users. In a statement to the Washington State Attorney General's office, Manhunt said a hacker had gained access to a database that stored account credentials for Manhunt users. The hacker had then downloaded the usernames, email addresses, and passwords for a subset of our users in early February 2021, the statement said. An attorney representing Manhunt told TechCrunch that 11% of its users were impacted by the breach, but failed to provide specific figures. Manhunt claims to have 6 million users, meaning, if correct, more than 600,000 people were potentially affected. In Washington state alone, 7,700 people were definitely affected, the company revealed. Questions have been directed at Manhunt's handling of the breach, given the lack of notice to its users. 1 month after the hack, on March 11th, Manhunt tweeted that, quote, all Manhunt users are required to update their password to ensure it meets the updated requirements. No other communication was provided to notify users that their data had potentially been stolen, until further notice was filed with the Washington State Attorney General, and that's what's happening.
Listen, so this is happening again, boys. Like, didn't we just have this happen before with Grindr? right?
Grindr,
Right? Wasn't it
Yeah.
Grindr?
Scruff.
I believe so, and it's crazy because I think it's about time that these companies be held liable. They need to protect our data. It's really quite upsetting.
Do you think that the boys really care if they're? I mean, would
Well,
they?
let me
would
just
they
reset my password real
Oh, I was
quick.
going to ask you too to get off there and Scruff, but I'm saying, do the boys care about their identity being stolen over getting laid?
Well,
Oh gosh, I think it's a fine balance.
that's a really hard question.
You said
a really
hard.
hard question. You know, right? You got the joke. You got the gay joke.
I'm gay
there.
sometimes.
You know, the issue with Grindr, we don't talk about that in this story, but the issue with Grindr made it a national security issue with the Chinese company involved and how data can be used. The European Union is much stricter than the United States is currently, and the United States is probably going to follow the union's issues here. It's something to be watched. The most distressing thing is, why did it take this long to reveal?
That's true.
You can have data breaches. That's understandable. It's the world we live in. However, that's a situation where we should be hearing right away that there are situations that are going on. And we're before we move on to the next story, Faye, we're letting production know that we believe we're having a teleprompter issue for Ed.
Well, and so I was going to go back to that. I mean, it's happening more often than not. Like, I
Right.
just got a letter in the mail from a medical organization that they were hacked. And why does it take so long for them to let you know? It's like, oh,
they're afraid their
2019.
reaction. Really, at the end of the day,
Right.
I'm putting words in Manhunt's mouth. This is not their observation. But for them to say, well, it's a normal process for you to rotate to update your password is code for we've been hit and we're not going to tell you we've been hit, and so
right.
therefore change your password. They should have come right out and said, we've been hit. It would have been a fraction of an issue for them. Eddie is going to stay with Manhunt no matter what.
No matter what, I'm
And
a loyal
Scruff
customer.
and Match
All of
and
that.
even,
Well,
you know,
they're good
Kristen Mingle.
They're really good recruiting tools. And I've got to say, I think it's about time that we figure out how to put laws in place to protect data, because data is very important in today's society. And I don't think there's very many things in place to hold these companies accountable.
So next we queer up entertainment. It's a Koala and Kiwi Kiki in the new Drag Race Down Under trailer. So the queens of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under are out back again, and this time there's a trailer. The contestants for the inaugural season of Drag Race Down Under were revealed to the world at last month's Sydney's Mardi Gras celebration in Australia. The 10 fierce Aussie and Kiwi queens competing to be Australia's first ever Drag Race superstar are likely to be among the most exciting that we have ever seen in any version of the show. We make this assumption in Happening Out Television Network's love of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and the notorious humor of the Aussie humor.
All right.
Let's watch the preview of Down Under.
Good day, good day, good day.
I'm about to my pants.
You are in for the ride of your mother-tucking lives. Let's go. I'm searching for Down Under's first Drag Race superstar. You've got to have a whole lot of personality.
The other queens really need to not underestimate me. I'm not here to about.
All right.
Show me angry.
I'm mad! I'm so mad!
Action.
Is this really happening? Oh my god.
I think you found your sweet spot.
Someone's got to find it.
You came out with a bang. Wow.
Those looks with the types of things where you go, ah,
I was absolutely gobsmacked. And no.
I knew like the costume wasn't up to
The
standards.
first
I was like,
costume.
yes,
Yeah, that was rotten.
Who's going home?
I'm taking 0 prisoners in this competition. If there's anything I love, it's putting on a show.
Down under, our tuck is tight.
Start your engines. And may the best drag queen win.
Down under, we do it and do it right.
All right, so they had me at Down Under, and I'm ready to tune in. This is going to be my favorite season so far, I can tell.
Dirty.
A little bit.
You know, it's funny. This is a reveal, and I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying this. Over the last 5 years, the last 5 episodes or seasons of U.S., Canada has come, Holland has come, Britain has come, second Britain, All Stars has come. I think in the last 5 years, this is the most exciting season. I haven't watched 1 minute yet, but the most exciting season. And my gut tells me this is probably going to be the best episode of RuPaul's Drag Race in the terms of seasons that we have seen. And the reason is because Ru and Michelle are hitting their stride at this moment. They're going someplace brand new and fresh for them, and the Australians are absolutely insanely wild for RuPaul. And when you combine that with the greatness of the personality of Oz and Aussies, oh my gosh, I just can't even imagine what we're getting ready to watch.
Well, that's big time coming from you,
From
Al.
me.
Like,
I
that's
know,
like
I'm going to
big
be in
time.
trouble. All these texts are
It better be good now, right? It's going to suck to be like, Al. No, but it looks like it's going to be fun. It's going to be fantastic. Now, my question is, when does RuPaul sleep, bro? Like, seriously, like, oh my goodness, another one? And, you know.
Wheel her in, 9 minutes, out she goes. That's it.
Did you love
I'm only kidding.
Did you love the dolphin colors that RuPaul was wearing? I was totally living for it, and I didn't even mind the accent. Like
she has no idea what you're talking about because you just made a football reference.
A lesbian made a football reference.
Right.
All right.
My apologies.
So now let's queer up gay culture. What is bigorexia, and do you suffer from it? Watch this.
What happens is they get a little bit of results and they get compliments on it, or they get acceptance, and they want more of that. It crosses a certain point where it actually goes the other way, where they start to look ridiculous.
You can go onto YouTube and type in synthol or synthol man. You see a lot of these guys that have taken it to such disgusting extremes. No sane person would look at that in a positive way.
I just ain't happy about nothing.
Being a big muscular person, you generally get treated really well. It's hard to like walk away from all that, and especially to embrace something that society does not see in a positive light.
It took me almost dying to stop and go, hey, this isn't worth it. Being big is not worth dying.
You're taking drugs, you're trying to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. That's bigorexia.
For many gay men, when it comes to muscles, one mantra continues to hold sway. The bigger, the better. However, becoming obsessed over the size of your muscles or going to extreme lengths to get bigger biceps can become unhealthy. Bigorexia, also known as muscle dysphoria or reverse anorexia, is a type of body dysmorphic disorder. It's defined by the American Psychiatric Association's Diagnostic and Statistical Manual as a preoccupation with the idea that your body is too small or not muscular enough. So when does going to the gym regularly and dreaming of a bigger body cross a threshold into potential bigorexia? A new report suggests that gay men may have a much larger issue with this dysphoria than their straight counterparts. Dr. Jason Nagata, assistant professor of pediatrics with the University of California, specializes in eating disorders and muscle dysphoria, quote, muscle dysphoria may develop when a man becomes preoccupied with his appearance, body size, weight, food, or exercise in a way that worsens his quality of life. He may withdraw from his usual activities or friends because of concerns with body size and appearance. Muscle dysphoria occurs when an individual becomes obsessed with becoming muscular. They may view themselves as puny even if they are objectively muscular, end quote. Nagata said he's known men with some of the bigorexia to exercise for up to 5 hours a day. Michael Padrig Action is a psychological therapist, counselor, and author who divides his time between Fort Lauderdale and London. He says work he says, if you work out every morning and feel guilty if you skip a workout, however, he emphasizes that does not mean he has bigorexia. He draws the parallel between social drinking and alcoholism. If we go to the pub 4 times in a week and you have a couple of drinks and we're functioning fine, that's great. But if we're binge drinking or not functioning in our lives, that's not great. That's where the line is between healthy working out and bigorexia, end quote. This is a health and medical issue Queer News Tonight will be following closely.
Well, I can't tell you how many times I've met people in the gay community, this is a male issue, that suffer from this. Here in Walton Manors in Fort Lauderdale, of course you would understand the embracement to physical size, etc., in the gay community, and a large gay community would be true. So I don't doubt the note that bigorexia, as they're beginning to identify it, is something that is being seen in the gay community more than their straight counterparts. But like other body dysmorphia issues, women have it, eating disorders, etc., and so on, it's something that should be followed very closely and not shamed, because it's real and it is a reality and it has dramatic effects on the quality of your life.
You know, I was talking to one of my gay boys, and he was saying how difficult it is to be a gay boy down here because of the, you know, what men look for in body image, what they look for in other guys, you know? So it's like, I see how easily somebody can fall into this trap. And it's not like work out to be healthy. It's working out 4 and 5 times a day, where it takes away, like being an alcoholic. It's taking away from your normal life. That is just crazy. It's crazy. Like, you poor boys. So do you deal with like bigorexia too, or something like that? Or
it's such a thing. It is absolutely. And you know, I live in South Beach, and so obviously there's a lot of beach opportunities, and folks are just very obsessed with the way that they look. It's a little bit draining, quite frankly, and I think that I'd be interested to see more of the research of where there's trauma and how folks try to deal with those wounds through their physical appearance in a way that just becomes unhealthy. But I like that we're paying attention to this topic and that we're calling it out. I think it'll help younger folks and folks who are feeling this type of a trap for themselves to find that there are resources and way to combat that, because there's more than one way to be beautiful, and it doesn't mean you have to kill yourself.
Absolutely, and we've continued to talk all through a pandemic. Mental health is a real issue that we must address, especially in the LGBTQ community.
Vagorexia? Does that exist?
Yeah.
Vaginoplasty.
Good, right. Well, next, let's queer up health. The CDC has reported that 4 out of 10 transgender women test positive for HIV in major cities. A new study reveals about 42% of transgender women test positive for HIV. The new government study surveyed across 7 major U.S. cities, and Black women have been particularly impacted. The staggering figure is one of the few snapshots into an unequal toll the virus continues to exert. Among Black trans women, 62% test positive for HIV, according to the report, which was collected and analyzed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. About 35% of Latinas reported the same, but among white trans women, only 17% tested positive compared to those other numbers, but still that was far higher than the general U.S. population. Lower, however, than any other racial group.
That's pretty crazy. That's almost half, guys. That's intense. You know, the reality, that's more than half, excuse me. That's incredible. You know, the reality is that most of our trans sisters can't find work, okay? So they have to, unfortunately, become sex workers, and that's how they have to pay the bills. That's how they survive, and that's how they fall victim to contracting AIDS and HIV. It's a very sad statistic. It really is.
Yeah, it's totally heartbreaking, and then I think it further underscores the need for prevention and also resources for care for people who are HIV positive. There's a lot of unspoken issues within our community, and so I think it's important to bring.
Well, and in conjunction with that, in terms of providing the medical services, Eddie, you know this from your work at SAVE, the tragic thing that we're watching in this wedge issue that is going on among the radical Republicans for the election in 22 and the presidential election in 24 is that they're using these exact same people that are having the greatest difficulty in our community, not only the LGBT community, but all of American community. They are the ones that need the most support, the most help, the most identification, and now we learn, of course, it makes sense, the most health care in their need. But they are the ones that are ostracized and reduced in terms of the quality of who they are the most by those Republican radicals and the state legislatures that are moving on them left and right in state houses. It's an issue where it's like news on top of bad news, on top of more bad news for the trans community, and that's what this new report by the CDC reflects.
And it's heartbreaking also that the trans community feels that maybe like the world has turned their back on them. So education-wise, they don't know what's out there. You know, we were talking to the gentleman from the Broward House last week, remember, Al? And they do amazing things for all LGBTQ community. So you can go and get yourself checked out for free. You know, a lot of our brothers and sisters don't know that that's available.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next, let's queer up religion. Jerry Falwell Jr. slapped with $30 million lawsuit over pool boy sex scandal.
At the end of the show, by the way, I want you to repeat this headline 5 times very slowly.
Very slowly, very, very slowly. Disgraced evangelical Jerry Falwell Jr. has just been served with a massive civil lawsuit from Liberty University seeking tens of millions of dollars in damages after the two parted ways last summer on less than friendly terms. The 74-page lawsuit was filed yesterday in Lynchburg Circuit Court. It accuses Falwell of orchestrating a well-resourced exit strategy from his role as president and chancellor by withholding damaging information when he renegotiated his contract in 2019. That damaging information was, of course, the whole cuckolding blackmail story involving his former pool boy, Giancarlo Granda, that dominated the headlines pretty much all of last summer. The lawsuit claims Falwell had a fiduciary duty to disclose Granda's extortive actions and to disclose the potential for serious harm to Liberty, but that instead he furthered the conspiracy of silence and negotiated a 2019 employment agreement that contained a higher salary from Liberty. Despite his clear duties as an executive and officer at Liberty, Falwell Jr. chose personal protection instead. The biggest revelation, however, is the one that seems to be getting the least amount of attention in the media. Falwell has not commented on the lawsuit, but Twitter sure has some thoughts.
Gosh, well, is it just me or is there a pattern here to anti-LGBTQ personalities, figures, politicians, and then somehow them getting caught with a rent-a-boy or some kind of a pool boy?
Seems to happen that way.
Did you see Twitter? Did you see Twitter? It said Donald Trump and Matt Gaetz and Jerry Falwell walk into a bar. I won't even finish it. They all go to jail. You know what I mean?
You know, it's interesting when when Queer News Tonight and production today was working on this story. The big conversation in this, beyond whatever happens, it's. I mean, let's face it, the drama is delicious to us to watch Liberty fight Falwell Jr. But what's incredible is, let's remember that in the late 1980s, Jerry Falwell is the creator of the moral majority.
That's right.
He takes on the LGBTQ community and demonizes us through the moral majority, creates an entire hate campaign, and creates Liberty University. His son, who he has groomed through that entire process, is now probably secretly in the closet, was involved in a blackmail scheme with his pool boy while he's married, while he's president of Liberty University. There is some, I don't know what the word is.
Some je ne sais quoi.
Yes.
There's got to be something around just being self-loathing and this out of touch with your sexuality, and then repressing that, and then you figure, hey, let me go make other people miserable until it blows up.
If there are 4 or 5 people in America where I would want to go, gosh, I really hate that you're self-loathing, and I'm really empathetic on it, and I really hope you get help for it. If there's 4 or 5 people in America, I will never say that about. Jerry Falwell Jr. is one of them.
Or Lindsey Graham.
Or Lindsey Graham.
Ladybug.
That's another one. Or let's hope Congressman Gates.
That's right. And on that note, let's queer up the USA. Tennessee Governor will sign bill allowing parents to opt out of LGBTQ+ education. Tennessee is poised to pass its second anti-LGBTQ+ law of the year after Governor Bill Lee signaled his support for a bill targeting inclusive education in schools. On Friday, a spokesperson confirmed that to the Associated Press that Lee intends to sign Senate Bill 1229, which would mandate that K-12 schools in Tennessee give parents 30 days notice before teaching students about sexual orientation or gender identity in the classroom. Should families object to their curriculum, the legislation would give them the ability to opt their child out of the lesson. Lee's office did not offer a statement regarding his support of Senate Bill 1229, but the Republicans' approval was widely expected after he signed a bill into law this March, barring transgender student athletes from playing on the team that aligns with their gender identity in schools. Tennessee is one of 3 states, along with Arkansas and Mississippi, to enact the anti-trans sports ban in 2021. While South Dakota Kristi Noem signed a pair of executive orders targeting trans students, opponents remain concerned as the AP reports that enactment of Senate Bill 1456 would, quote, alienate already marginalized students during a year in which LGBTQ plus inclusion in schools has been under constant attack by conservative lawmakers.
You know what I'm thinking about, boys, is those kids. You know, those students. You all remember when you were young and you were wondering, am I gay? Am I part of this community?
Yeah.
You know, and this could have been the only education that one of these kids would get.
That's
and
right.
now their parents will be like, no way, nope, you're not going to be a part of that.
And sometimes not even that. I can remember being in, I think it was 10th grade. It's that class where it's mixed with PE and they teach you about your body.
The sex
and
education
sex
class?
education
Yeah.
class. And I had a teacher who was clearly anti-LGBT, and I say clearly in retrospect, because as they're talking about human sexuality, she goes on to say, well, there's nothing natural about this happening or this happening. And so I think it definitely is very, very important for our schools to teach sexual education through scientific, appropriate terms.
Yeah, and both of those observations are really great. Mine is completely different. Mine focuses on the ignorance of this. The ignorance of that governor, the ignorance of that state house that will pass it, and the ignorance of the people who live in Tennessee if they accept this. And here's the proof of that ignorance. Let's move the clock from 2021 in terms of LGBT education in the schools and the opt-out option on saying you're completely fine, we'll give you notice that we're going to teach this and you can opt out. Now let's move the clock back to 1961. You could remove the phrase LGBTQ and insert black and come to the exact same conclusion. What do we know today in 2021? That is ignorance. That is racism. That is discriminatory, and we would not, nor any court in America, would allow that to happen. We just haven't moved that far enough along to be able to say to the governor of Tennessee and the House and citizens of that state, you're ignorant. But that's what they have done in terms of passing this law.
It's a very sad story. That is our queer headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies. Queer News Tonight has been LGBTQ America's most important news source on the pandemic, as we have reported on coronavirus on every news broadcast since January 6, 2020.
Tonight, we report the devastating effect coronavirus has had on the American and worldwide LGBTQ community in total cases and deaths. We also provide hope of a new light at the end of this long tunnel, as tonight more than 2,268,000 LGBTQ Americans have contracted COVID-19, and more than 40,000 LGBTQ plus Americans have died from coronavirus. As of today, 209 million, thank you, friends, vaccinations doses have been administered in the U.S.
So with that, let's queer up quarantine quickies. Vaccines are overwhelmingly statistically safe for the LGBTQ America. At the beginning of the pandemic, we reported every single night the best and worst states in COVID-19 testing. The news was terrible for months. Starting today, we are going to report exact data on the efficacy of COVID-19 vaccine results. The news is absolutely terrific. As of tonight, more than 75 million Americans and 5.25 million LGBTQ Americans are now fully vaccinated. The CDC reports today that of those fully vaccinated but contracted COVID-19 is just 5,814. Hospitalized after full vaccination is just 396. Died after full vaccination is just 74. Remember, those numbers are out of 75 million. Queer News Tonight highly encourages you to get vaccinated.
I was so excited when I got my second vaccine. Now I'm 3 weeks past the second vaccine, but that first one, I would wear that proudly, you know, and everywhere I went, people would go, oh, you got vaccinated. Yeah, cool, you know? So it's like, come on, I want to travel. I want to do things. We're sitting this close together now because we're all vaccinated and safe. We haven't been able to do a show this close in over a year plus.
That's right. It does feel like a sense of fulfilling your civic duty when you get your vaccination.
Yeah, and it is a civic duty. That's a great observation. And the science is the science. You can't deny the science. You can sit and say a meteor is going to crash into the earth and kill us all you want. But it only happens once every 350 million years. It's not going to happen. In this instance, with 76 deaths, with 75 million vaccinations, we will have more deaths in South Florida from people that are not vaccinated from COVID-19 in South Florida than all of America of those that were vaccinated.
That's right.
Is a statistical fact.
And it's right on the money when you say it's science. And I remind my friends who have some reservations that I use science and technology every day when I hold my iPhone, when I take an Advil, when I think of eradicating polio. These are all methods in which science and technology have helped to better our lives.
PrEP.
PrEP as
We use
well.
PrEP, HIV.
That's right.
I know, but I need to remind some of those friends of mine that used to do a bunch of bad drugs with me at space during, like, you know, when the sun was all out. You're worried about what's in the vaccine, but you would take that bump, no problem. All right, come on, come on.
Take your vaccine.
Please get vaccinated. So that is our COVID-19 news for tonight. Next, we report that Happening Out Television Network is passionate about our support for the LGBTQ community. An example is Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale.
We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine and supporting that partnership. The network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world with more than 30,000 watching every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. And it's totally live. We encourage you to tune in. Our campaign of scholarship proudly supports Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
Hi, my name is Misty Eyes, and I'm the Director of Transgender Services, Women's Services, and Education Training at SunServe. And Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We'd also like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living here in Fort Lauderdale, for making this set in this amazing queer church campus possible.
Finally, we thank our Queer News Tonight's hotel sponsor, Best Western I-95 Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our host and guests say at this LGBTQ ally partner, we encourage you to stay here when you visit South Florida.
So next up, Happening Out Television Network is proud to sponsor the 23rd Annual OUTshine LGBTQ Film Festival, April 23rd through May 2nd. Happening Out Television Network and all of our programs are proud to serve as their premier sponsor. Tickets and passes are on sale right now at outshinefilm.com. Let's hear a bit more about the OUTshine LGBTQ Film Festival. Watch this.
Get your tickets now for the 23rd annual edition of the OUTshine LGBTQ Plus Film Festival, happening April 23rd to May 2nd. Don't miss our incredible grand opening drive-in event, followed by 10 days of non-stop films from here and all around the world that you can watch at home. Watch trailers and get your tickets at OUTshineFilm.com now.
Well, Queer News Tonight is proud to showcase many of the film directors during the OUTshine LGBTQ Plus Film Festival. Tonight, we are pleased to feature the opening night drive-in film called Potato Dreams of America.
Closely based on the writer-director's life, Potato Dreams of America is a dark autobiographical comedy about a gay boy growing up in the collapsing USSR, his courageous mail-order bride, mother, and their adventurous escape to America. Full of unexpected twists, the film is an immigrant's take on the American dream and the power of cinema, proving that life is often stranger than fiction.
Joining us tonight is director Wes Hurley. He was born Vasily in the Soviet Union. After immigrating to the U.S. with his mother, he studied drama, interdisciplinary arts, and film at the University of Washington. He has written, directed, and produced dozens of award-winning queer shorts, 3 feature films, and 2 seasons of Capitol Hill. His 2017 short, Little Potato, won jury prize at SXSW, along with 27 other awards around the world.
We are also thrilled to have actor Hirsch Powers with us tonight, a 15-year-old who played the role of Little Potato in the first half of the movie. So to tell us more about Potato Dreams of America, featured at OUTshine's opening night and their drive-in this Friday, April 23rd at 7 p.m., is director Wes Hurley and actor Hirsch Powers. Welcome, Wes and Hirsch, to Queer News Tonight.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
Well, first off, let me get right out of the way. I asked you before the show, both of you identify in LGBTQ. Wes, let's start with you. Born in the Soviet Union at the time. When did you come to America, and tell us a little bit about your inspiration of that journey to be able to make Potato Dreams of America?
So I came to the States in the late 90s. I always, my family was really inspired by American films, and that was one of the reasons we wanted to come to the States. It was sort of this love affair with America before we even knew what real America would be like. And yeah, so when we came to the States, I knew that making movies is what I wanted to do, and my story is pretty interesting. There's a big twist at the end that I don't want to give away, but I thought, it's going to be an interesting film to bring to life, because it's a true story. It's kind of wild. I was 16.
16, and were you fluent in English when you came?
No, I could barely speak any English.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Well, I'd like to get in a little into that. So, Wes, that brings us directly to Hirsch Power. He plays
the Little Potato.
The young potato that comes to America. Interesting. He's 15 years old. Wes, you identified, or did you know when you were in the Soviet Union you were gay, 16, before you came to America?
Yeah, I always knew I was gay. I would have never come out in Russia, just because it's it's pretty horrible there for gay people. But I came out to my mom pretty soon after we came to the States.
Yes, and Hirsch is 15 years old. He's the youngest person that has ever been on Queer News Tonight, and he also knows he is gay, so similarities there. Hirsch, tell us about what your experience was like in making this film, Potato Dreams of America. What was it like for you?
Yeah, so this was my first feature film, and it was such an incredible experience to be a part of. Everyone on set was so amazing, and I got to work with some people who, for this was also their first feature, and some really experienced actors as well. like Jonathan Bennett. We talked backstage choreographing every song to Mamma Mia. It was amazing. And I got some really great advice from a lot of the actors and everyone on set. It was a lot of fun.
And I'm curious, Hirsch, is this passionate about making this first feature with Wes, but is this something that is a passion that you think will go forward? Is it something you want to do, or something else that you want to pursue?
Yes, definitely. I love film. I started off in theater, doing a lot of theater around town. And so I really am passionate about acting, and I love theater and film for a whole bunch of different reasons. They feel very different and similar, and it was just fascinating.
You know, Hirsch, I want to ask you about your situation of this last year in pandemic. You've been in remote learning. I'm sure you haven't been in school, correct?
I started hybrid last month, where basically I'm in for a week of school and then I'm online the next.
Yeah. What was the year like of the disconnect? You're a young gay teenager, and you like acting, you like interacting with people. The pandemic comes along. You've never experienced anything like this. What's the last year been like for you in school in every possible way?
It's been a wild ride. It's been a lot of fun. I've been lucky enough to do some online shows over Zoom and be able to film some stuff in person. So I'm lucky enough that I've had some experiences to keep acting and keep doing things. School is really good. My teachers have been so adaptable and amazing and understanding with everything that's going on in the world. And it's been really nice. I've definitely had time to reflect on what I want to do, like as an artist. And also there have been moments where I've just been like, oh, that's a cool thing. I'll just try it out. Why not?
Why not?
Do you see Wes's face? He's like a proud papa.
Yeah,
like Hirsch is like, answering the questions. I have a question for Hirsch. I don't like kids and I like you. All right. So I don't know what that is.
Well, that's a lesbian thing for
don't say that about my people.
Not thespian, but lesbian.
Oh yeah, I said thespian.
Oh, thespian. That's what he said. So Hirsch, were there parts of the movie, like how did you get ready for this role? Were there parts of the movie that you had to go over to Wes and go, how were you feeling during this time? Like, was there something that I can draw from?
Yeah. So I talked to Wes about the character, and I've never admitted this to Wes, but I would just watch him whenever we were in rehearsal or anything, and I would try to pick up on mannerisms that he had, and try to copy off of that. Yeah.
So when he scratched his butt, you would scratch your butt too?
Yeah, basically.
Great. And it's more than I needed to know. Hirsch, it's interesting. I don't, it's very interesting in terms of your experience here, being 15, and this story of coming from the Soviet Union, the 1990s, the Soviet Union. Wes lived through a time where the Soviet Union basically collapses, and not quite into anarchy, but in many respects, the empire, the former empire, falls apart. So you're involved in telling that story. Wes, I'm curious for you. So you come to the United States and you have this passion for film. The same kind of question that I ask Hirsch. We've watched in the last year something unprecedented in all of our lifetimes of human history, really. In terms of modern technology and our interdependence in the world. The Spanish flu in 1918 was nothing like this because they weren't interdependent the way we are today. For you as a filmmaker, what was it like to have the disconnect of what you've been through as a filmmaker in the last year?
Well, I have to say, we've been really, really lucky. We finished shooting the film and literally the next week or in 2 weeks, the whole Seattle shut down. And Seattle was the first kind of epicenter of COVID in the country. So we just were able to finish right in time. and then I edited the film myself. So it's sort of, I mean, I don't want to sound heartless because obviously I know it's been a horrible year for people, but for me, I was so into editing my own work and kind of buried in this film that it was a great distraction in a way, and also it was great to be isolated for editing work. It's really great to just focus in and just do the film. So the timing sort of worked out for me. I wasn't affected in horrible ways that a lot of people have been.
Until this year, I imagine in the other projects that you've done, you're very award-winning. Those were not in virtual, like you've experienced. I know you've done a couple of festivals this year that are virtual. OUTshine is a hybrid. We're in Florida. Everything's different in Florida. So it's a hybrid film. What's it been like to be in the LGBTQ film festival circuit in a moment that we have never seen before? No one has ever thought about having LGBT film in Zoom or film festivals in virtual. What's that experience been like for you?
I mean, so OUTshine is our first LGBT festival. We premiered at South by Southwest and just screened in Seattle International Film Festival. And both of those were virtual, and I have to say it's been really tough. I mean, I don't want to complain because it's probably the least of world's worries right now, but on a personal level, it's really rough because you want to share the film widely. You want to share, you want to be there with your cast and crew and with a live audience. And instead, this virtual experience, it's kind of, I think it's great for some of the audience, people who it's become more accessible for some people, for sure. But for filmmakers, I think it's a little sad because, you want that live interaction with the audience. You want that engagement. You want to hear them laughing and crying. And especially in my film, it's very much an emotional roller coaster. And you don't get that when people are just watching it on their laptops and phones.
I haven't seen your film yet, but Potato Dreams, for everyone that doesn't know the story of your story coming from the collapsed Soviet Union to America, to Seattle, explain to us the metaphor of what Potato Dreams means.
So potato stands for, it's one of the nicknames that my mom had for me. So I picked that nickname to use in the film because there's something very Russian about potato. It's sort of the national food of Russia.
How do you say potato in Russian?
Vodka?
Vodka?
Yeah. Kartoshka. No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, that's another reference, right? That's very Russian. So I used that nickname for the film because it sort of created a little bit of distance between me and the character, because the film is very, very closely based on my life. So it helped to have a little bit of sort of disassociation instead of using my real name.
Well, Wes, of course, every true gay man at heart knows what Potato Dreams means, because we've all grown up. Our baby bottles were filled with Russian vodka, so we know exactly what Potato Dreams is all about. I wanted to mention the opening night, the drive-in and ceremony, it has somebody from the film that is literally an LGBTQ icon, the first openly lesbian comedian to ever appear on television, and that is Leah Delaria. Tell us a little bit about your participation with her and what she brought to the film for you.
Yeah, so it's been kind of an amazing journey, because when I written the script, I really imagined Leah in this role, and the role is, my grandma is a very quirky, interesting, funny, kind of terrible in some ways character in the film, and I wrote the role for Leah. So when we approached her and she said yes, it was super, super exciting for us. And she came out last year and shot with us, and basically played with Hirsch. They had really great chemistry with Hirsch, and she's been wonderful. She's a really wonderful performer, and I'm excited for people to see her in this very different role, because you've never seen her like this before.
Excellent. Well, this week is the opening night drive-in at the OUTshine Film Festival. It's one of the most important hybrid LGBTQ plus film festivals in the world. OUTshine is very unique because it is held twice in a year. Once in Miami, which is happening starting next week, and then once in the late summer, early fall in Broward County in Fort Lauderdale. And if you haven't participated with OUTshine, again, it's one of the best in the country. Wes, we wish you all the success with Potato Dreams of America. It has not been the absolute best time to debut a new film, but in pandemic and our LGBT desire to get back to normal, you may see really incredible things for this very interesting story that you have developed. So we wish you all the luck and invite you to South Florida. You come down the first opportunity you have. We're big film lovers, big LGBT and independent film lovers here in South Florida. So we invite you to come down.
Thank you so much.
And Hirsch, all the pleasure in meeting you. You are what we call Generation Next. And it's a very appropriate title for you. And you were invited down to see our dynamic LGBTQ community, but you must bring your mother with you to do it. And you're welcome here in South Florida. And we can see, all of us here at Queer News Tonight can see the specialness of what Wes selected to make the young potato dream come true in the first half of the film. So we thank you for participating with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And for everybody, this weekend, come to OUTshine Film Festivals, their opening night drive-in hybrid. You can see the film online also, and go to OUTshine's website for complete details.
And don't forget that Leah Delaria is actually going to be there in person on Friday for the opening night. She's going to be doing a question and answer, so you definitely don't want to miss that. So get your tickets right now, and it starts this Friday at the Desertland. I believe it's at Desertland in North Miami, and it begins about 7 p.m. Get all the information on their website. So that is today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news. We are the world's only LGBTQ television live video news in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of anchors Faye What and Eddie Marti Kring, we will see you daily, and that means tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Good night.